Okay, so you guys have some background with radicals. I know you do. So, like, number one, if I say, hey, what's the square root of 16? You guys say 4. Uh, and that's because square root of 16 is asking a particular question. It's saying, what number squared, or what number multiplied with itself equals that 16? And 4 times 4 equals 16. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 144, 12. Square root of 625, 25. Good. So, how about the square root of 32, though? So, 32 is not a perfect square, meaning you can't find an integer that if you multiply that integer with itself, you get 32. Square root of 32, though, is between what two integers? 5 and 6. Okay, so it's bigger than the square root of 25, but it's smaller than the square root of 36. So you know this answer is between 5 and 6, and if you put it into a calculator, it'd be like 5 point something. We can simplify this radical, though. And simplifying a radical is, well, that's simplifying a radical if we could, like square root of 16 is 4. But if we have something that doesn't work, our method for simplifying a radical is going to be to break the number down to see what it's made of, see what the prime numbers are, or any other factors. So 32 is 4 times 8. Yes, I can. And 4 is 2 times 2. 8 is 2 times 4. And 4 is 2 times 2 again. So I made a tree diagram here, or factor tree, and if I were to multiply the 5 numbers at the bottom of that tree, I would get 32. The square root of 32 is the same thing as the square root of 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Now, whenever you take a number and multiply it with the same number, you get a perfect square. And we can take square roots of perfect squares. So I'm going to look for pairs of numbers that match. Right? I have 2 2's here. If I multiply that together, I get 4. I could take the square root of 4. Here's another 4 I could take the square root of. And then this one, I can't. And so I'm going to take the square root of both of these. And the square root of the first one is going to be 2. Square root, that's the square root of 4. Square root of this next one is going to be 2. And then I'm left with this last piece. And so my answer is going to be 4 times the square root of 2. We could have done this a different way. There are lots of ways to do this. And just, I'll show you one other. I could have broke that 32 up to 2 times what? 16. And 16 is 4 times 4. And I could have stopped there and said, hey, I have a matching pair here of 4s. If I take the square root of 4 times 4, I get 4. And then that one's left underneath. So there are other ways. You'll get more comfortable with this as you do this. How many have done this before? Okay, some of us have some background. Okay. Square root of 72. How would you like to break it up? 12 and 6. Okay. And then 6 is 2 and 3. 12, 3 and 4. 4 is 2 and 2. And so the square root of 72, we're looking for pairs. And you're only looking at the bottom of that tree. So these 5 numbers I've highlighted. And I have a pair of 2's. And I have a pair of 3's. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 2, because I take the square root. Remember, 3 times 3 is 9. And if I take the square root of 9, I get 3. 2 times 2 is 4. If I take the square root of that, I get 2. And I'm left with the square root of 2, the one I did not circle. And so my answer is going to be 6 times square root of 2. How else could we have broken up the 72? 8 and 9. How else? 36 and 2. And if you do 36 and 2, what's the square root of 36? 6, and you're stuck with the 2. So again, sometimes you break it down in a certain way and you see the answer already sooner. Yeah? So you're talking about right here? So why did I do 2 times 2 instead of just... Are you looking down here or up here? Number 4? Or number 5? I'm trying to understand. Oh, okay. So this 2 right here, okay, I understand what you're asking now. So this 2 comes from this one here. I choose the one that's not circled. So the pairs that I circled, I'm able to take the square root of. Because 2 times 2 is 4, and I could take the square root of that. 3 times 3 is 9, I could take the square root of that. This one's left over. I can't take the square root of that one. That's why it's stuck underneath the square root sign. Okay. Square root of 98 and square root of 15. Take a minute, try 6 and 7. If you can practice without a calculator, it will help you because the test is no calculator. If you have a calculator, I'm not inviting you to put it away. I'm just telling you, practice without a calculator because the test is going to be no calculator. The more practice you get that way, it's going to train you. So check with the person next to you. See if they're getting the same thing you got for 6 or 7.
Number 7 simplified.
Yeah.
I hate 7 or 14. He gets 40.
I get 7 times 7.
Wait, so you did what and what?
I did 49 times 2
2.
equals 98, and I got 7 and 7.
So you got 2 7s and a 2.
Yes.
And what'd you get? Did you get 2?
I got 7.
Wait, 7. But that should be a
14.
two, that's a two.
14 is 2 times 7. You're thinking 7 plus 7. Okay, so square root of 98, how do you guys split that up? 49 and 2. And you start to see, hey, 49 is a perfect square. I could take the square root of that because I'm going to get 7 and 7. That one's going to be stuck underneath the square root. Answer is going to be 7 square root of 2. But something weird happens with number 7. You get the square root of 15. There's only one way to split that up, 3 times 5. And you have no pairs. So what do? You could do square root of 3 times square root of 5, but that's actually considered less simplified. And so they just say leave it. Square root of 15, that's all we can do. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing with variables instead of numbers. How many have done this with just variables? Not many of us, okay? So this is newer territory, but it's actually just as easy, or maybe even easier, because we know how it's already broken up. We got 2 A's, 4 B's, 7 C's. That's it, right? So you don't have to think as much in terms of breaking things up. So this is the same thing as A times B, 4 B's. Got 7 C's. All underneath that square root. And we do the same thing we would do with numbers. If you find anything, whether number or variable, that matches, and you multiply that, so A times A creates a perfect square, we can take the square root of that. What's the square root of A times A? A. And then I can take the square root of B times B and get B. The square root of B times B and get another B. And then C. And then what's left? Just that one C right there. And so we get A, B squared, C to the third, square root of C. And there we have it. You may not see it or you may see it, but start to look for ways. How can I just jump from here to here? You may see some patterns, but start thinking that way. But this is why, right? But there's some quicker ways. How do I get from here to here in a little quicker way? So number 9, what's the answer going to be? X on the outside end, square root of X, because X cubed means we are multiplying X 3 times. We have one pair. We can take the square root of that. We got X square root X. Number 10, not a square root. This right here is what we call the index. And here our index is 4. So this is a 4th root. And just like a square root, a 4th root is asking the question, what number to the 4th power equals whatever we're looking at? So let me give you with a number. So if I say, what's the 4th root of 625? You're going to say, I know it's not there, but so you could break it down, right? What times what is 625? 25 times 25. What times what is 25? And so instead of looking for a set of 2 things, it's a 4th root. We're looking for a set of 4. What to the 4th power equals 625? 5. Okay? So it works just like square roots, but the 4th root. So on number 10, we want the 4th root of x to the 5th. We have 5 x's. Because it's a fourth root, we're looking for a set of 4 matches. We have one of them. So that's going to be x, fourth root, x. Just be careful to carry that little index with you. It's easy to just forget it and just write square root, but that means something different. This is a fourth root, okay? So if you go back to 11, notice that there is no index. And if there is no index, by default, it's a what? So no index means the index is 2, okay, by default. So here we got a mixture of number and letter. And I want to do something different with you, okay? Let me see real quick. Okay, so most of us are in pairs except for Sue. Okay, and Sue, I'll work with you, okay? But so I want you to identify your pair and with your pair decide who's number 1, who's number 2. And I'll give you further instructions, okay? Okay. Sue, I'll be your partner. Okay. So if you're number 1, okay, you got to put your pencil down. You cannot touch pencil at all. You can only talk. All right. If you're number 2, you have to zip your lips. You cannot talk. You can only write. Okay. So number 1 is going to tell number 2 what to do step by step for number 11. Okay. Go. All right. You're number 1. I'm number 2.
And you can separate your 2 lenses and 4 sections. And we can find 2 pair of 2. Only 5. And so we'll be oh yeah, oh my gosh.
You're doing great.
Oh really?
Yes.
And we'll be so we'll be 2 pair of 2.
What do you want me to write?
4 x 3x. X times x times x and times y times y and 6y. And we can find 1 pair of x, 3 pair of y. So oh, it's the 4th power. Oh, it's
Okay.
4x to the square and y to the third.
4x
Square, y to the third. And square root of x. Like that.
So, really good. This is nice. You want to pay attention though. You gotta be careful to look at the bottom. This that right there. See that 5?
Yeah.
So we want that 5 to be under there. The 4 is good because you got that. You circled X only once, so you only want one of them. Oops, sorry. Open that up. But you were right with the y to the third, and then we want the 5 in there. Okay. Good job. I'll put this up there. Good job. All right. So we should be getting 4x y to the third square root 5x. Okay? Right there. Any questions on that one? Okay, so you break this down, you got 2 pairs of 2's, so that's a 2 times a 2, that gives you the 4. That 5, don't forget, that's left under here. You got a pair of x's, so that gives you 1 pair, and that's left under. And you got 3 pairs of y's, and so that's why you get that. Okay? All right, so for number 12, guess what we're going to do? We're going to switch it around. So this time, the 2's, if you're number 2, you have to put your pencil down. And the 1's are the writers, not the talkers. Go for it. You are lucky. You get to be another talker. I'm not leaving you alone, am I? That's fine. You can do it there. I'll watch. Yes, you need to use your bathroom pass stuff. Do you have that? So you give that to me, and then there's a log out, log back in thing right by the door, and I need you to fill that out too. So this one, you're looking for 4 things, not 2. Right? So you have 2 12s. You want to keep breaking the 12s down. Yeah, put your name on that real quick. Don't worry about the date. First and last name though, and period. And then I can handle the rest. And then there is a sign out sheet up there. I think there's a pen there. Not 2's, 4's. Right, it's a 4th root. So you gotta circle 4 things like we did up here. We circled 4 x's instead of 2. So if there's no square root, then you're going 2. I mean, if there's no index. But here you're going 4 at a time. There you go. And then, yeah, I'll keep breaking them down. You're looking for 4 things. There you go. So only the things you circle go on the outside. Everything else is stuck on the inside. Mm-hmm. 4th root, yeah. Mm-hmm. You have 2 3's, right? So 3 times 3. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, so this one, you have the index is 4, so pay attention to that. So when you circle things, you're circling 4 of a kind, not 2 of a kind. And so this is 12 times 12. 4, well, let's go 3 times 4, and 4 times 3, and 2 times 2. And so we have, I'm looking for 4 things. I got 4 2's here, and then those 2 3's are going to be stuck underneath the 4th root. Can't circle those. And then I have 6 x's, but I'm looking for 4. I got 2 left over, and so it's going to be 2x because that's what I circled. 2x, and then everything else is underneath the 4th root. So 4th root of 9, because 3 times 3 is 9, x squared. That's the answer that you're looking for. Question? Okay. Yeah. So you tell me, why not? So you're asking why didn't I pull out the 3's? Why not? Because I don't have 4 of them. I only have 2 of them this time. And I need 4 because the index is 4. Now if it was square root, then I could. But because it's 4th root, I have to have 4 things. Pull that out. Okay. All right, so everybody just try 13. Okay, everybody try 13. So 216 is even, and it's going to be 2 times 108. Okay, if you break that up. And 108 is also even. That's 2 times 54. When that's even, that's 2 times 27. That's not even, but that's divisible by 3. That's 3 times 9, and 9 is 3 times 3. And so the index is 3. We're looking for sets of 3 things. We got 3 2s and 3 3s. Sorry. So this is 2 times 3 cube root. We got 12 x's. So that's x to the 4th. Sorry. I'm going too fast. So I will finish this later. I don't want to rush it. Homework is to try this. We'll talk more about it tomorrow, okay? Actually, I won't see you till Thursday.